Hi, I'm Janelle. I'm the creative director for Boss Jellybean Publishing. I'm going to take you through the Safe Mode Disabled Quick Start Guide today, which you can play right now for free. You can find the Quick Start Guide on our Kickstarter. Just go to the link and press the little download button. Page 1 of the Quick Start Guide goes over what Safe Mode Disabled is, which is a dual playbook powered by the Apocalypse system that focuses on a twinned setting, game, and story. On the core mechanics page, we go through the concepts of playing the game, your dice system. 10 plus is a full success, a 7 through 9 is a partial success, and a 6 or lower is a failure. This is kind of your core mechanic for the entire game. All rolls are going to fall somewhere within that. It also goes over the stats, which are different for this game in that your avatar has a different stat block than your IRL archetype, and they're called different things. In the real world, you're going to have cool, alert, tough, smart, quick, and your health tracker is life, whereas in the video game world, you have mana, armor, power, craft, speed, and HP, which is your life tracker in the game. Character creation for Safe Mode Disabled is pretty simple. First, you are going to choose your IRL archetype, your playbook for your real life character. Once you decide who you are in reality, you are going to choose 2 moves on that playbook and mark 1 as cross-dimensional. Cross-dimensional moves mean that you can use it both in real life and in the video game world, whereas the one that is not marked cross-dimensional will only be available to you while in the real world. After that, you are going to discuss and develop your personality, appearance, and backstory for this real life person. Next, you're going to choose your avatar role, which represents who you are in the virtual world, who you are in the video game. Choose your avatar role playbook, and once again, you're going to choose 2 moves from that playbook and mark 1 as cross-dimensional, meaning that you can use that move both in the virtual world and in the real world, whereas the one that is not marked as cross-dimensional will only be available to you in the virtual world. After that, you are going to kind of develop the abilities and appearance of your in-game avatar. Just because you choose a certain playbook doesn't mean you have a specific aesthetic. You're going to flavor your avatar role however you want. After you've chosen your IRL archetype and your avatar role, you are going to get the totals for your life, which is 10 plus your tough rating, and for your HP, which is 10 plus your armor rating. And then finally, you're going to do a mini session 0 with your other players, and you're going to establish your connections to those other players. The types of connections you can make are cooperative, competitive, romantic, broken, protective, admiration. These connections go one way, which means if I have a cooperative connection with someone, that's how I feel about them. They might have a competitive connection back towards me. You're going to choose at least 2 other players to have a connection with, and you're also going to mark these connections of if they are in the video game, in the real world, or both. Because you have these 2 different trackers, there's 2 very different ways of how things can go. If you run out of life in reality, you can die. There is character death in this as a possibility, but that's not necessarily what happens. You're going to roll a d6 to determine what happens when you run out of life in the real world. On a 1, your character dies. On a 2 through 5, your character falls unconscious and suffers a critical injury or trauma that you can discuss with your GM. On a 6, your IRL archetype disappears from reality and permanently inhabits your in-game avatar. This can start a completely new adventure or change the context of the game that you are currently playing in a really interesting way. I am very excited to hear how other people incorporate this into their game. On the other side of it, if you run out of HP, your avatar in the virtual world gets to 0. That essentially means that your video game character has died. You are going to have some repercussions from that are mimic having to remake a real character in an MMO or a video game. Once your avatar is destroyed, Any advancement progress they made is completely lost. You're going to have to make a completely new avatar. Your IRL gamer archetype is going to suffer a -3 penalty to all rolls for the remainder of that session. So it's not like you can't play anymore, but you're confined to the real world at that point. Combat from the player perspective in this, you're rolling 2d6 a lot and applying a relevant stat, taking actions from your playbook. From the GM's perspective, you're not making any rolls. The enemy mechanics in Safe Mode Disabled rely heavily on soft moves and hard moves. Things are going to be triggered by a round clock. So how many times the players go through a cycle on their side. Sometimes a move will be triggered by a health threshold. So if the players knock the enemy down to a certain health, a move will happen. There are also moves that get triggered by a player failing their roll. The GM really is kind of sitting back, watching what's happening, and then reacting to what the players do. Instead of taking very aggressive moves, you're waiting for your opportunity to inflict a soft move or a hard move. A soft move is going to be something like a warning, a setup, changing battlefield conditions, whereas a hard move is a direct attack, inflicting harm and escalating the fight to a new phase. Besides the moves that come with your playbooks, you're also going to have 3 moves available to you no matter what. Attack an enemy, your 2d6 roll plus either power or tough depending on which reality you're in. Evade danger, which is you roll plus quick or plus speed to get out of the way of an attack. Once again, depending on which reality you're in, you apply the correct modifier. And then the last one is to assess the battlefield, which is you roll plus alert no matter where you are. Another fun aspect of Safe Mode Disabled are these status effects, things that you can apply to enemies, but that enemies can also apply to you. Stun means that the creature cannot move, and attacks against them have a +2 to hit for 1 round. Creatures can be slowed, reduces movement, and attacks against the creature gain a +1 to hit. Weakened, damage dealt by this creature is halved. An injured creature takes 1 damage at the beginning of each round. You can also be disrupted, which means you cannot use special abilities or cross-dimensional moves for 1 round. And finally, confused, which means that you act unpredictably and irrationally. This is up to GM discretion on how they want players to do that, but it is recommended that you kind of assign different playbook rolls to a 6-sided die and roll that to determine what your player does when they are confused. Another really important aspect to combat for me was making it so that players could work together in ways to do combos and synergy moves. Teamwork makes the dream work. When 2 or more players describe a coordinated action, the GM can grant one of the following benefits: either a +1 to the roll, additional status effects, or a unique narrative advantage that makes sense in that particular instance. Your IRL archetype is going to be your real world character's persona. Cool governs your charisma, social interactions, persuasion. Alert represents your perception and your ability to notice details. Tough is how physically strong you are and how resilient. Smart reflects your intelligence. Quick is your agility, reaction time, and movement, and life is your health tracker. In the Quick Start Guide, you can dive into the conspiracy theorist, the cosplayer, the geek, the speedrunner, the streamer, or the veteran. Your avatar roles are going to be the role your avatar embodies when they're in the virtual game world. Your mana fuels any magical attacks or effects that have an immediate result. Your armor is a measure of your character's durability, endurance, and defensive capabilities. Craft is the skill that's used for sustainable magical effects. Speed reflects your agility, quickness, and reaction time in combat, and your HP is your life tracker. The biggest difference here between mana and craft: mana is going to be all about magical effects or mechanical effects that have an immediate result. You're healing someone in the moment, you're doing a damaging attack, you're changing the battlefield right then. Craft is what you're going to use for if you have a shield barrier that's going up that's going to be around for multiple rounds. It also is what you're going to use for summoned creatures that are there for multiple turns, or anything that is, you know, like a sustained healing sphere of some kind. In the quick start guide, we have the Berserker, the DPS, the Engineer, the Healer, the Mage, and the Tank. In total, there are going to be 15 of these avatar roles available in the finished book, but we have these 6 in the quick start guide. So this is all just the beta quick start guide. We are still in playtesting and developing and getting feedback from players and changing to make this a really wonderful game. Please follow the Kickstarter for updates and to be alerted when we go live.